Hello, and welcome. Welcome to this three-part series on the styles of intuition, thinking, and feeling. And basically, this is going to be a short three-part series that I do about the two different styles of intuition. This particular one. And then I'm going to do other ones about the two different styles of thinking and the two different styles of feeling that we prefer. And this is based on the theory of the 8 cognitive functions as defined by Carl Jung.
Hold on, he's going to get audio. I can see that. Hold on. You just take it out.
Okay, so each of the 3 dichotomies or dimensions of experience, intuition, thinking, and feeling, they take on one of 2 styles, which are either introverted or extroverted in their attitude or direction. And so in this series, I would like to describe the differences of these attitudes and how they play out for the 16 Myers Briggs personality types. So 8 of the 16 personality types have a perceiving process, which is either sensing or intuition, because those are the 2 perceiving perceiving styles. And these 8 of these 16 personality types are going to have sensing, a perceiving process as their dominant cognitive function, meaning that they prefer to observe, learn, and take in information before making a decision. Guys, please excuse my squatter camp music and all the background noise. It's just you're gonna have to bear with me. Yeah, we live right next to, in South Africa, so we live right next to the squatter camp here, and I've got a friend messaging us on WhatsApp and things like that. And because I'm an introverted intuitive user, it's very difficult for me to focus on one thing when there's so much going on around me. I find that very difficult. So that's definitely one aspect. But I'll get to that. I'm kind of definitely fast forwarding here. So yeah, 8 of these will have a perceiving function as their dominant function, and 8 types will have a judging function, which is either thinking or feeling, as their dominant function. And that is, so judging process is just a way of making decisions. So these people, these 8 types will prefer to make their decisions first before they move on to observing or taking in more new information. So since I'm starting off with intuition in particular, intuition is a perceiving process. And the personality types who use intuition as their dominant cognitive function. So the dominant intuitives are the INTJ, the INFJ, the ENFP, and the ENTP personality types. So those are the 4 types that use intuition as their dominant process. And that would be their favorite style of experiencing reality, through intuition. So these 4 types can be further narrowed down based on their preferred style or attitude of intuition, which will either be introverted or extroverted. And so it is as follows. The INFJ and the INTJ personality type use introverted intuition as their dominant cognitive function, and then the ENTP and ENFP personality type use extroverted intuition as their dominant cognitive function. So these differences in direction or focus gives the types that prefer to intuit in this way a specific attitude to their intuition. They therefore experience their intuition quite differently. So that's where we go on to explaining what introverted intuition, which is what the INFJs and the INTJs use. And I also have to specify that, and extroverted intuition, which is what the ENTPs and the ENFPs use. But however, everybody uses intuition. So like I said, there's 8 types who use intuition in an extroverted manner, and there'll be 8 types who use it in an introverted manner. So they'll go inwards with their intuition, and then the other 2. And there's big differences in this, and just because of the attitudes and the direction. So you'll find that the differences are basically in how these types, because the direction is so different, these types will exhibit very different behaviors based on that. So NE users will tend to be very outwardly focused because it's an extroverted function. They will be outwardly focused, and they will be very much dispersed, and it's a lot more short term. So extroverted functions, all extroverted functions, whether they be judging or perceiving functions, basically how they work is, if it's extroverted, it is it sort of spreads out. It spreads out, and it's able to perceive more in the moment. It's able to do more and make decisions on the spot in the moment, and like get all the information in the moment. But at the same time, the introverted functions, on the other hand, they will take longer to develop because they look inward. So all the introverted functions will be looking on their internal sort of system of meanings and symbols and impressions, and sort of looking at that to intuit their lives and the lives of others, but based on sort of a collective unconscious. So it'll be a lot more long range, but it'll take a lot longer to form. So the introverted functions, it just takes a lot longer for them to develop, and sometimes you won't see them in the moment because they're introverted. So it's very difficult to express them, and especially with intuition.
So
because
are you saying that they spend more time in their own minds?
Well, definitely. I mean, because introverted functions are looking inward. So it's the same with the thinking, like with the thinking functions. But like, since we're talking about intuition in particular, and it's cool because like I'm an INFJ, so I'm an NI user, dominant NI user. So I use introverted intuition, and Carl here uses extroverted intuition, and he's a dominant intuitive as well. So that's what we're discussing. That's what I'm discussing here right now.
More time out of my mind.
No.
More time anyway.
Well, not necessarily, because this is not a way of thinking. Intuition is not necessarily thinking. You know what I mean? Intuition is receiving information from, whether that be from an internal source, sort of just like, that's why introverted intuition users such as myself will tend to get like these aha moments. That's how the intuition comes in, and comes in from like within, like, and it comes in during times when I'm alone and I've been thinking for a while by myself. So I need to like be by myself and sort of look inward, and like, whereas your intuition works in such a way that it's like the more you are able to see, and the more you see, the more you connect patterns. So your intuition comes through the form of like, patterns in the outside world that you observe. So that information comes to you from the outside world, like from people. So you're able to like, it's all metaphysics. So intuition is going into metaphysics, and so it's looking at what is not seen. You know what I mean? So it's like, whereas sensing.
I don't even interrupt you too much.
No, this is good. This is good. I mean, I'm just because I get to like have a conversation and it's not a monologue so much. But also because you're an extroverted intuition user. So one difference between introverted and extroverted intuition is definitely that extroverted intuition, or any of the extroverted functions, but like, let me specifically speak about intuition here. Extroverted intuition will sort of disperse outward when looking for information. So they'll like learn new things, and then they'll want to connect more. Like, you will want to connect more and more patterns. So like, as you observe a pattern in the outside world, you'll just want to like look at it from another direction and then see more, and then you'll pick up on something else and see how that connects to that, and then you'll just keep on going outward into like using the external, whatever you see in the external world, to intuit your information. And that's why it's so explorative. That's why extroverted intuition is often nicknamed exploration, because it's definitely like looking outward in the world in this sort of metaphysical way, just like gaining more and more information and able to connect patterns in the outside world. Whereas introverted intuition, or NI, is more connecting patterns within your own self. So it's like watching your own mind form patterns, watching the way that you react to things, and it's more, it has to do with self, you know, it like looks inward. But at the same time, the reason why introverted intuition goes so much into introverted intuition is like there's music and symbols, and that's why us INFJs tend to be, and INTJs tend to be interested in MBTI, because it gives us systems to understand ourselves, you know. And then we all obviously take our intuition to different places, and that's where because everybody uses intuition, it's just how, you know, the order in which we use it. So for example, like it's not only these 4 types that use intuition. All personality types use intuition. So basically, for say, like the ISFP personality type, they use introverted intuition in their 3rd slot, or the tertiary, as the tertiary function. So what that means is basically it's like a 10 at a 10-year-old level, and because for them it comes out as like a relief state. So like my mom, for example, she goes deep into painting, and then she sort of connects to herself through painting, and she takes that intuition only comes out through her other functions, which are her top functions. So it's like extroverted sensing is higher up for her, and then introverted feeling is even higher up. So it's sort of it all sort of fuels the dominant function. But the intuition definitely comes out as an introverted intuition. She uses introverted intuition in the sense that she's definitely looking inward to predict patterns based on her own internal different symbols that she picks up in different like Wendy, for example, is an introverted intuition user, but she uses it as an ISTPs as well. ISTPs use introverted intuition as their 10-year-old, and the way that it manifests for them, which is very interesting to me, is how, like, because these types are so, like, they don't seem to like care about, you know, sitting and worrying about reflecting and intuiting and all of that, like us dominant intuitives do. But the way that intuition seems to manifest for ISTPs is really cool, is because like when they are like in really, really heightened sensory moments, like in like during accidents and stuff, like my goodness, ISTPs can just recover from the craziest accidents. Like these people will just get themselves through anything. It's quite amazing. It's like they're able to have this like martial arts almost kind of way of perceiving what they can do with their bodies, because like I said, it all fuels the dominant function. So they're fueling their TI and as well as their extroverted sensing. So that it's coming as a 10-year-old through as a way to like rescue them, or as a way to give them that intuitive information that is required so that they survive these strenuous SE sort of things that they do, and also the mechanics that they do, you know, to be able to build stuff and, you know, put stuff together. They definitely use intuition for that, because all people, I mean, I think that's one thing maybe that separates us from the animals, is that we have this ability to intuit, to sort of look into future possibilities and sort of plan out using our, you know, using that intuition and think about and simulate into the future about the different possible scenarios that could happen. So I think that's one way that we evolved differently. I'm not saying that animals don't have their own style of intuition. I just think that this may be one way that we, due to language and all of that, manifested differently. So yeah, I think intuition is something that all of us humans use, and it's very, very, very interesting, because it's a very abstract and complex sort of function that's very difficult to understand, especially introverted intuition, because introverted intuition is, I mean, extroverted intuition is it's so easy for you guys, because you guys just sort of like, it's like so easy to recognize, you know, like in scientists and stuff, because it's explorative, you know, and it's explorative towards the outside world, your dominant function, like any it's so explorative towards the outside world. So it's very easy to recognize and pick up on and go, wow, that person is doing that, you know. Whereas introverted intuition is like something that happens so privately in our own minds, and yet we feel so strongly about these intuitions that are coming about. But it's because it's not like you can't point to it and say that connects to that always. It takes like much longer, you know. So like it takes a long time for us to form these things, these internal symbols and meanings and interpretation, and then be able to use our other functions, because that's necessary, otherwise use our other functions to translate them into concepts that can be understood in a thinking way.
Really
Who's that?
That's extrovert. Extroverted intuition.
Extroverted intuition, not interested in what? In explaining. Of course it is. Of course. I mean, you are able to translate it easier because it's in the moment. So because extroverted intuition is looking outward, it's very real time. So you're able to in real time be like, okay, so I'm intuiting something about this, and this connects to this particular thing in the outside world. So, and you definitely have to translate that through your other functions, and that's where it gets interesting. Like for us dominant intuition users, like the way we. Like an ENFP will completely take that intuition to a different place than an ENTP, for example. So an ENTP will take that in those intuitive, because you both use exploration, like you and Nikki, for example. You both use exploration, right, to look to look and observe patterns in the outside world. But she will take that to FI, straight from NE to FI. That's her decision making function. So she'll take that to her introverted function, okay, and then she will use it to decide what is of value to her, what is the right thing to do for her. That's her decision making based on that internal sense of feeling and like moral guidance and map. That's what like FI is. Whereas you use TI, which is also an introverted function. It's also developed over time. You know, so it's something also that is developed when you're alone mostly, you know, or when you like it's a very independent function. That's why like TI users are so independent, like Wendy and like Louis, you know, very independent people, because like they want to use their TI devoid of like, you know, any TI user just doesn't want to be micromanaged when they're TIing, you know. It's like it's an independent thing that you want to do by yourself. You know,
didn't you make a video of Nikki as well?
Yes, I do have. Yeah, but shit. Yeah, but I did not reveal, did I? Yes, I did. Oh, damn it.
No, it's fine. I'm just saying they can refer back to it.
It's a different Nikki.
And they can find out what her personality.
No, man. That's why are you ruining it for me?
I'm not.
I'm supposed to reveal that like next year. Now you just pointed it out. Anyway, yeah, so him and I definitely use it differently in the sense that like he tends to just like disperse outward, and I have to like bring it in. Like I just get easily distracted. Like for my NI to be active, and I need it to be active. Like I love using my NI, especially paired with my TI, because it's of the same attitude. So yeah, we tend to get into these cognitive function loops, which are very interesting as well, because they can be very positive. It's just when overdone that they get a bit out of hand. Yeah, it's because it's when our functions of the same attitude pair up and then ignore the other functions. So like for me, that'll be like NI and TI. That's like my dominant function and my tertiary 3-year-old function, that working together and sort of ignoring the parent. Because I don't want to extrovert, you know. And whereas for Carl, for example, as an ENTP, he will use that completely differently, and he will like rather get into an NE-FE loop, which is he'll be ignoring all his introverted functions. So he'll be ignoring his TI in order to just stay in this mode of exploring and then harmonizing, exploring and harmonizing. So he's exploring, looking out at the outside world, and then he's like checking with people to see how they feel about it. So it's like exploring and what do you think? Exploring, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And not checking with himself and is like, does this make sense? So yeah, and then also ignoring his SI, which would be like the part of him that, kind of also puts things into perspective by organizing them and by looking at what's been before so as not to make the same mistakes, and yeah, blah, 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 blah. But let me just see if there's anything else that I've missed. Because, yeah, so introverted intuition tends to go deep. Like it tends to go very like INTJs and INFJs. Yeah, we don't like surface level sort of, we don't like to go into a subject surface level. We like to go as deep into a subject as possible if we're interested in a subject. Whereas extroverted intuition is completely different in the sense that it is like scattered outward. So it's oriented toward the outer world of possibilities and novel experiences. I'm just reading a post from quietcreativecoaching.com. So it says here, the ability to expand upon information, its role, this is extroverted intuition, is to seek new combinations of existing data, expanding its web of patterns. So this ability to expand upon information gives NE an innovative and open-minded quality. So where introverted intuition goes deep, extroverted intuition goes wide. NE surveys a breadth of information and seeks fresh experiences, continually asking what's possible. Yeah, so whereas extroverted intuition is always asking the question, what if? Introverted intuition is always asking the question, why? Like, what is the purpose? Yeah. So NE, highlight real, always asking what is possible. High energy function. Energy and optimism of healthy NE can be contagious, for sure. That's why I love hanging out with NE users. And we definitely have this sort of cognitive, what's the right word for it? The opposite of cognitive dissonance, cognitive harmony. So they can quickly see associations in diverse fields of thought that others miss. So this lends NE ingenuity and cleverness. Sometimes NE brains are making associations so quickly, seemingly bouncing from one topic to another, that their speech and ideas may be difficult to follow, brainstorming out loud. They place high value in innovative thought. NE is comfortable with the notion that everything is connected. Restless by nature, NE seeks new and novel experiences. When healthy, NE learns to test its innovative ideas in the real world, benefiting from outside feedback and adjusting as needed. And when underdeveloped, NE can expect too much of themselves and others, simultaneously feeling overwhelmed and getting upset when things don't come to fruition fast enough. When underused, NE may run out of energy and feel depressed and lethargic. That never happens with my ENTP here. So NE dominant function flow state. So for NE to work at its best, ENTPs and ENFPs need to continually throw themselves into novel experiences and push beyond their comfort zones, which it would be the opposite of their polar function, which is SI. So SI is their polar function. That's the one that will always be pushing against NE because they're like so opposites. So whereas SI looks for tradition and what's been done before, that would be their weak function. NE seeks novelty and, always like trying things the new way. So they're definitely opposites, but they serve to balance each other out in different ways. And so contrary to NI, which needs to eliminate distraction to flourish, NE must avoid the mundane to activate its flow state. Engaging in new projects and lively conversation or exploring new ways to be innovative each day will keep NE healthy. Yet it is helpful to take a measured approach and work to keep their innovative ideas grounded. And then, so basically, when it comes to NI is basically, NI goes deep, seeing underlying patterns and causes. Yeah, so NI is very much into looking at implications of actions and, how things are going to play out in a specific, if you follow a specific path, it's a lot more focused. and yeah, going deep into internal insights and internal impressions. So while it is impressive, it is not a woo-woo ability to see the future. Instead, it is a subconscious pattern that delivers insights that are often accurate and seem to come from out of the blue. That's the difference between intuition and thinking, for example. So a lot of people confuse that and assume that intuition is a form of thinking because it's future focused, so it's thinking about the future, but it's more knowing. It's like it's information gathering. It's not a decision making process. So these insights can sometimes be as surprising to the NI user as the one, as those they share it with. However, healthy NI users come to trust the process due to the regularity with which the impressions prove true. It's because the NI highlight reel. It says, healthy NI has strengths in focus and analytical ability. Receives insight from out of the blue, aka aha moments. So that's why I like INFJs, especially because we sort of use FE as well we want to connect with people, we want to connect our ideas, these insights to other people and see how they can benefit other people. We get so excited and like because these ahas are like, oh my god, I need to share this aha with you, and it's like, oh my god, it's so important. It's got so its ability to work with impression to assess the entirety of a situation and read what is happening. Great appreciation for beauty, both visual and theoretical or ideational. And that is probably, I would assume, because of the polar SE as well, extroverted sensing, because anybody who uses dominant introverted intuition will have polar extroverted sensing. Like the extroverted intuitors will have polar introverted sensing, whereas introverted intuitors will have polar extroverted sensing. And extroverted sensing is very much about appreciating the aesthetics and the sensory in the moment experience. So I guess because it's aspirational and they sort of work to balance each other out, they work sort of against each other because NI is always looking to future pace, whereas extroverted sensing is all about being in the here and now. But like I said, these functions also work in tandem to balance each other out. So that's why I guess there's that great appreciation for beauty. Because it is not bound to the rules of conscious thought, NI can solve problems that logic cannot. It holds space for multiple and or conflicting perspectives simultaneously. So you'll find that a lot of INTJs and INFJs are like walking paradoxes or dichotomies. We're able to like connect very dichotomous ideas, things that would be conflicting. We're able to reconcile them and make them holistic again. Like we look for the most extremes and then we try to reconcile them and find balance into this universal concept. So ability to hold multiple perspectives allows NI to walk in someone else's shoes. That's why NI is often nicknamed perspectives, because we shift perspectives. Attempts to steer this process can have the opposite effect, interrupting NI pattern finding. That is so true, because every time I try to interfere with my NI or try to like push it, it doesn't work. And as soon as I let go and of what I'm thinking about or stressing about, and I go do some yoga or have a shower, the answer will just come to me. It's like letting go is a big part of it, and getting into the body and getting into that extroverted sensing. So that's why it's so important to balance these functions, because they work with each other to make us whole, basically. So NI can sometimes seem critical to others due to its ability to see where a situation is headed before others do. Making mountains out of molehills, they call it. Due to its rarity, users of NI can at times feel alien or misunderstood. Places high value on truth, understands that inaccurate perceptions can lead to bad or harmful ideas and actions. So like we are very much aware of how a small lie or how a small little act can like just carry on into the future and all the different implications of that action. So yeah, we tend to be very annoying like that, because we'll just go on and on of, oh, you're ruining it like this and like this and like all the ways, and it's never going to work because of this and this and this. So healthy NI can be used in conflict mediation due to its ability to hold conflicting perspectives. It knows when people are saying the same thing in different ways or saying different things using the same terms. Healthy NI needs time free from distraction in order to perform optimally. So that's the difference as well between NE and NI, whereas NE seems to thrive in an environment where that there's more and more ideas thrown out, like they're able to handle as much external data as and a lot of external data, whereas NI needs like peace and quiet and sort of that ability to tune in on a more like metaphysical or spiritual level, if you can say that. And because when overstimulated, NI can become irritable and frustrated. That's something I do a lot, is get irritable and frustrated when I'm around people for too long. When understimulated, NI can become detached and apathetic. It needs adventure and new surprising experiences. So yeah, it's very interesting how and when we meet other people who are sort of compatible with our functions, or because the functions definitely draw on each other and they exist on an axis. So it's really, really cool how much they draw from each other and how much that balance is maintained through the diversity of these functions and the differences within them. So for NI, INFJs and INTJs use NI as their dominant function. It is how they show up to the world first. Due to the unique nature of NI's relationship to the subconscious, INFJs and INTJs can experience the flow state more readily than other types when conditions support it. So this is especially true when they learn to trust their insights and impressions. Noise and distraction coming from behind the NI user may be especially jarring. Sitting with their back to corner or wall can feel like a relief. Time and space free of distraction are essential in order for INTJs and INFJs to access their flow state. And I appreciate as much sensory deprivation as you can offer it. Yeah, put me in a fucking sensory deprivation chamber, please. According to Dr. A.J. Drenth, there are some physiological signs that NI is in use. This include a downward-oriented gaze, that eyelids dropping to half-mast. Half-mast. What do you know what that is called? Hey? Hello, Carl. Anyway, yeah, that's just very interesting, because I think I do get into that state a lot where I'm just staring downward, and but I don't know, I wanted to confirm that with Carl, because yeah, we tend to be quite bad at watching ourselves. That's why I love having this YouTube channel, because I get to like watch myself over, and it gives me insight into who I am, and how I actually behave versus how I think I come off. So yeah, I think that pretty much explains the difference between how extroverted and introverted intuition works. I'm quite excited to do this series. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I would love to hear from you, NI users and NE users, if you have anything to add, or whether you agree with what I have to say. Any other videos you'd like me to do in particular. Yeah, I just want to hear from you. So just comment, like, and subscribe as well. And do check out my Type My Friend sessions, where we get to objectively, sort of from the outside together, interactively rather, type people through. Well, it's an exercise in developing our ability to speed type. Also, just sharing our knowledge with one another of how we type, because we all type so differently, and there's so many experts in MBTI, because it's still not recognized as a valid science. I really think that we should do more to share the knowledge in all the different tools with one another, so that this can soon become a more accepted science within the scientific psychological community. Thanks guys for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Hopefully I will need a little bit of NI time. So if I'm away for a while, it's probably because I'm NIing. NIing. Cheers guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.